Greetings to you. So this is just a really short video about a truth bomb that I've thought about it a lot, and it is absolute truth. Nobody else really knows what they're doing. No one can assure you that what they know is true and that it would work for you. No one. No one, no one, no one. Not the saints, not the sages, not the successful business people, not the whatever, not even the ancient grandma, grandpa, the shaman. They still have a perspective and their own experience. And this is really important to realize. Why? Because this belief that someone else knows better than us and more than us has gone way over the top. It's really good to learn from others, but not to just take things on board and not just to assume that because it worked for them, that it works for you. Nutrition works differently for people. Spiritual practices work differently. Even there are times when exercise or changes in our lives, there are times when you're ripe for that and it will naturally happen, and other times when no matter what you do, really, you will be stuck because it's not the right time. And that could be astrological, it could be your whole, connection with your world, your timing, it could be soul contracts you're looking at. It depends on your language. Now, some people will say, I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. If I set my mind to it, there is a limit to that. And so it's really important to realize nobody's figured it out. And if you look at all those health gurus and all those people, many of them have either burnt out or they have other challenges of, having issues with their family or issues with their health. All humans will have challenges. And it's so important, in my opinion, from my experience and being in an observer state and going into meditation, that the highest practice will be to meditate for you and to contemplate all the options that resonate to you in a higher way. For example, you might have a few people that you really like to learn from and that you resonate with and that you want a life like they have it. But the truth bomb again is that if your life has a different mission inherently from the way you came in, and your soul has chosen a different mission, no matter what your ego will do to overcome that and to shift that or to deny that, it will sabotage. It won't work. You will just suffer, going an uphill battle, wondering why it's not happening. And yet at the same time, in 2 years' time, this thing could flow for you completely. So this is really important. And that's where, again, I am very passionate, super passionate, that yes, we have great wisdom, and I too share what works for me, what I've seen, what I'm looking at. But what I'm tending to see is that we're all different and that we should stop putting each other into boxes and worshipping anybody outside ourselves. We need to just take things like we do when we're cooking: a bit of salt, a bit of pepper, a pinch of whatever, whatever spices and herbs that work for you. Even nutritional, if you study Ayurveda or any other nutrition, if you study Chinese medicine, you'll find that everyone is unique, and what can help someone can destroy somebody else. And this is powerful. There are sayings like that around. So keep that in mind and be gentle with yourself. And if you go within and meditate by using the breath to slow down that erratic mind and the programmed mind that is plugged into the collective, you're gonna find your own truth, and that will make you really powerful. You may realize, like I did, and I loved that realization. My life was, when I got married, was around being at home and being with my children. That was my joy, my pleasure, my absolute devotion. And I am so fulfilled from that. I have no regrets because I have realized that, and I was fully immersed in being there, a woman that was fully immersed in being a mom. So some people ignore that deep calling and think they need to also earn money, and it's a struggle, and that's okay. That's their journey, and that's also fine. I don't know what your journey is until you tap in and find out. Maybe your journey is to balance motherhood with income and to have that ability to really check in every day to see how you're running it for your highest good of your true satisfaction and your children's welfare, because that's the next generation. That's who you're really affecting the most, and your mood will affect children more than money, really. So going within, knowing there's a smorgasbord of infinite potential, and then finding your truth. And again, noticing, what does my ego really want? Oh, it wants me to be really, this. Write down what it is. And then go and check, what does my heart really want right now? And it might want to recuperate. It might want to slow down. It might want to go with the season that you're in. In your case, it might be winter, and therefore an inward movement of incubating, reflecting, to come back out in spring and to thrive in summer and harvest in autumn, and then to go inward again. Because that's what life is about. We are part of this web. We are part of this planet. And we are no different unless we are trying to make ourselves into, a male that is like an army warrior. And even that, only certain people are designed for that. There are some people that would absolutely suffer and ruin their soul, heart, physical connection with themselves and with life, and it wouldn't be right, where someone else really has to follow that Martian type of warrior path. We are here in our unique way, just like when you look at a flower or a tree or anything like that. Even looking at a bird, it's got the claws, but it's got the soft eyes. It's got the feathers that protects it, but that also repels the water, but also has certain impact and sends out certain messages through the colors that it has and through the behaviors and dance. So is a flower. A flower relies on the roots, which are not as pretty, to rise up, to grow those leaves, which may have prickles on them to repel, or the stem might have prickles on it, like roses. So the blossom can happen, and it each has its place and time. To me, this is life. And to try and force on the ego that, no, I want to be the rose and not have prickles, but I'm a warrior and I'm tough, and I can also have children and run a business, and somehow I'm always in tune and I never am down, and I'm always vibing high, and I really just, that doesn't work. Because in nature we have to go into acceptance, and then we have to listen to the pure wisdom, which is much greater than our intellect, and our programmed intellect in particular, which is often based on fear and survival from our upbringing. Like, how will I get liked more? How will I feel safe more? That's why we choose certain careers that are not necessarily from our heart. So I've gone a bit broader than I wanted to, but the truth bomb is, nobody really knows what they're doing. Everyone is just going at their own pace, which is what life is about, one moment in time. Some people will preach that they have figured it out, but really the truth is that even if they figured it out for themselves, it doesn't mean that will work for your body, your spirit, your current place in your life, your current chapter. So that means the good news is, great, look at it, but come back within. Come back within, bring your energy back within, focus on your heart. And remember, this is something that I'm really into. Focus on your centers of consciousness that can give you messages. So here we have the gut, we have the heart, we have the throat wisdom, we have our intuitive wisdom, and we have crown consciousness. And most of all, very importantly, we are grounded into the earth and connected, and we're able at the sacral to flow and embrace our emotions, our wisdom, and our creativity. So it is a whole package, and we can't really skip one part and push one area. It's just like a car. If it's on one wheel, it won't make it. Or if we walk on one leg more than the other, we become lopsided. It will eventually not make it. It's crazy examples, but this is about the holistic rising and balancing. And that's why sometimes we're working on our heart chakra, sometimes we're working on our throat center of communication, and how to ask for what we want, but also how to nourish ourselves and listen to ourselves. It's never black and white. So the truth bomb, again, everyone is so unique that nobody really knows what will be right for you. And the more you can trust yourself, the better. The more you realize that, well, even people on Instagram or that are famous, they're not going to tell you necessarily everything. Sometimes in retrospect, they will give you a chapter on how they suffered and crashed and burned and wanted to kill themselves, or felt really lost or lost everything, and how then they woke up from that and went into the next level of learning. But remember that people are not going to generally put that out, and I respect that too, because in a way it has its place, and it has to be processed before you invite further potential harm. And also sometimes people don't want to know how we all suffered, and sometimes people do want to know, and again, that's got to be in the right time. Someone might be here on social media enjoying their their thread or their whatever is coming up for them that they've chosen, and they don't want to hear right now how you know, someone gave up and was abused and how their parents neglected them. They want to focus on what they can do and what we can do to move forward into a new chapter. So again, there is a place for everything, and at another time it's important to hear a story and we learn from someone else and we support each other and we actually rise through that. So again, no black and white, divine timing, trusting, not egoic pushing and flowing to see what is presented on your plate of life. Do I want that? What am I gonna do with it? Is that even mine? What would I like on my plate? And that's really more navigating yourself. Everything in life is gonna lead us back to that. And that includes introverts having an introverted life, extroverts being out there, and switching over and having all the balances. It is everything, because we are living in such a dimension, and that is part of the gift. So I hope that this helps you to set you free and to trust yourself more of all. This is so powerful. Why are we moving away from ourselves and externalizing so much? Remember, as we do that, it's important to balance that, just like doing weight training, that we don't just do one arm, but we do the other. So if we go external, also find time to say, okay, I've gone external and I've had my friendships, my cup of tea, my reading the book and whatever it is now. Let me integrate that and let me find out, what do I really want? Does that really resonate? Just tuning in and then asking that when you go to sleep at night, which is when we process and integrate more neurological shifts, can you ask yourself, upon sleep, allow me to process that so I have clarity in the moment, in the morning, sorry, and then write it down when you get to it, because the ego mind is very loud and dominant, and even if you have the most profound inspiration that would lead you to the best, most amazing choice of action and being and mindset, the ego tends to like to have the same thing. It doesn't like change, and it gets freaked out, and it will belittle that profound thought and awareness that you might have got during the night or in a meditation practice. So that's why writing it down is important, and saying, okay, I'm committing to this, writing it on your mirror, printing it out, making it your screensaver. We're rewiring from a collective overload of externalism, right? And so this takes skills like writing it down, being aware of the difference between a truth within and an external push that makes your ego feel you need it in order to survive, in order to make money, in order to be loved, in order to fit in, whatever that is for you. And let's be honest and transparent and just meet ourselves, because we're all having the same thing going on to one degree or less. And my technique really is that I feel good in nature, I go within, and I'm very used to being the observer since I've been a baby. Literally, I have memories of being the observer. So the observer helps me to not be attached to my ego, and to, of course, I have an ego, and it will have its own personality traits, but I can actually step back and go, wow, that's just the ego, or what am I perceiving here? What kind of lenses have I got right now? And that always keeps me stepped in myself, stepping back from that. And then once this is all balanced and it feels right, I go forward. And it's driven from the heart. I've made that decision. It has to be heart driven. Whenever it wasn't and the ego was coming out, I've never enjoyed that, and I've always regretted it. So I've got a deep commitment to that, and I did always have it. But the moments when the ego came up and I wasn't in my heart, or I didn't have compassion, for example, for someone who was being really awful, it would have still been better to have that compassion and then go from there and say, look, I have understanding that we're different, and let's leave it at that and have a boundary, rather than also get worked up and argue and whatever it is. So have fun, enjoy being you, and see you next time. Ciao. Let me know what you're thinking. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this. Yeah, that would be amazing.